I would like to call to order the May 17th regular meeting for the Chagrin Falls Board of Education. Ashley, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros.
Here.
Mrs. Bendel.
Here.
Mrs. Garvey.
Here.
Mrs. Miller. Here. Dr. Schlepper.
Here.
If you would all please join me to stand and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. At this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Lori to introduce our student showcase, which is seniors this evening. We're excited to have.
So the first meeting in May is always a bittersweet night for us because it's the night that the board accepts and votes to recognize the senior class, and that they've satisfied the requirements to graduate from Chagrin. So you know, we love this night, and we started last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, to dedicate our first meeting in May to our senior class and to have a senior showcase. So I would like to turn the meeting over to Mike Janitovich, who's going to introduce our seniors and tell us what they're going to do tonight.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Glad we have a nice audience here to see some of the wonderful stuff. As a high school principal, one of the most exciting things that I can do is to present the senior class to the Board of Education for their graduation and their commencement services. So today you have a list of 155 students that have spent 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, however long they've had at the high school, however long they've lasted and they've been here at Chagrin Falls. They did absolutely and wonderful and tremendous things. And I kind of reflected on my first year and how thankful I am to have an opportunity to get to know these students for a year, but then also had a little bit of a disappointment that I only got to know these students for a year. So trying to narrow down what did we want to showcase, what did we want to celebrate, and I wanted to try to get an entire picture of the senior class. So I have some things here that I kind of want to share, some highlights throughout. You know, I start with academic success because I know that's the highlight of what we do here. Between our students, our teachers, the program that we have here supports students all the way across. But I want to kind of get into some other things. So I kind of wanted to hit this first. This group, we had 47 students make AP scholars. 10 of them have a capstone diploma. And if you look at unweighted GPA, which is on a 4.0 scale, is a 3.6 average, which is absolutely tremendous for overall for a senior class. Those AP, classes and honors up there recognize the students having to not only take multiple classes, but getting a high enough score to be able to qualify for those. Having that number of students with a smaller class size comparatively that we have around is something that really demonstrates how well our students have done in the classroom and how well our teachers have prepared them and the opportunities that we provide for them on a daily basis. We also have students that were recognized from the National Merit Scholarship. We had semifinalists and commended scholars. These are students that competed, not competed, but they took the PSAT test, the NMSQT qualifications, and they reached a level that made them competitive with students that are 40,000 students in the United States have made the semifinalist, and we had 5 students that were recognized for that honor. And as you can also then see, we have over 50 plus colleges where our students are attending next school year. And when you look at the list, it's absolutely tremendous, from the technical schools to the prestigious institutions, from the local schools, from the private schools. There's a lot of representation for our students that are going on to do absolutely wonderful and amazing things. It was really exciting for me to kind of track to see where some of the students are going and recognize, I stayed local, I'm a BW grad, but so some of these students are going to some amazing places and they're going to have some wonderful experiences in their time that are there. We also have some students that are going into the career force. And I also wanted to talk about our students in the Excel Tech programming. This year, we had 15 senior students that were involved in Excel Tech. And one of the things I really wanted to highlight is we did have an outstanding student, Alex Newton, who was the outstanding student for fire and EMS, which of all of the students that are in the consortium was picked by his class. So that's absolutely tremendous. But we have students going into information technology and programming, performing arts academy, marketing, medical tech, welding, interactive media, fire and EMS, studio art. All of these are programs that are providing kids opportunities to be successful in their careers. But also a lot of these students have gone through these programs and then are continuing on to follow it up with college. So they're going to have not only a career-based skill to be able to take with them, but they're going to be able to expand into the different things that they choose and elect to do. So when you look at our success and at commencement, you're going to hear a little bit more in my speech of some of the amazing accomplishments of this class and this wonderful class, but they really came through and academically through the support of the school district, the Board of Education, the hard work of the teachers and the students in the classroom. They've done absolutely amazing. Students of the month. One of the things that I don't know if you guys always get the recognition of the students of the month, but our teachers recognize our students. They recommend students. And they talk about all of the amazing things that our students get to do. One of the favorite things that I get to do on a monthly basis, if I'm able to make it, or if not, Dr. Pensarski does it as well, is we recognize at the Rotary Club. And these are students that have done things exceptional in the class, exceptional throughout their career. Sometimes they overcame adversity. Sometimes it's just for high levels of achievement. There's a lot of different diverse awards here, but it really gives us a time to let students shine and to let them go. So these were the students of the month that we had throughout. One of the things that I might ask the board is also maybe make a recommendation that I can share often with you guys some of the wonderful things that they do, because I think it's neat to recognize these students on a deep level. And then it comes to our activities, and I threw up a bunch of pictures here. Senior nights. One of the things that I absolutely love about our district is the community, how well the parents come together, how well the coaches support their students each and every day. And we had an opportunity to really celebrate all of our seniors, and the amount of seniors at Chagrin Falls High School that not only do well academically, but perform, whether it's on the musical field, whether it's on the athletic field, it's in the pool, in the gymnasium. Our students are out there representing us in such a positive way. And it's really from some of these skills that our seniors are taking to their next level. They're learning time management, they're learning dedication. They learn this through the support of the athletics, the programming, and all of the aspects that come along with it. So I think it's really important to recognize the way that we recognize the seniors, throughout their time when they're here. And then, as I've said, and two other board showcases, we had musical and we had art pieces. We have an absolute tremendous musical opportunity. I think if you were at our last spring shows and seeing some of the senior choir come together and sing their last piece, and it was the senior band. They played a piece from middle school. Am I correct there? Yeah, the middle school one came through. I just thought it was really cool how the tradition of Chagrin Falls it's not forgotten. These kids were here with us. They were here in middle school. They're here as 7th graders, and they come through to the end and they perform a song that they had as 7th graders, and it's a memory for them, and it's a special moment, and it was really cool for me. I thought it was neat. And then our theatrical performances, the things that our students do, the way that they perform, the way that they have an opportunity and take on leadership roles through the support of the school and everybody that has supported them. We have Cum Laude Society. This is, a very prestigious group of students, and recently we had we had inductions into this society, and as you can see, we have the group of students that are there. Top 20% of the class, students that have achieved academic excellence at a very high level. And as you saw earlier, the number of students that are AP scholars, the number of, the 3.6 GPA that we have, to be able to recognize these students and for students to be able to achieve this is something that's truly amazing. And it was a wonderful ceremony that was put on for our students. Our scholarship recipients, last night, we had the opportunity to recognize students from the community, seniors that are moving on and going on to different, bigger and better things, but were recognized for not only the things that they did in the classroom, but things that they did in the community, things that they did on the athletic field, in the music, in the arts. It was just a true celebration of community. And as you see Chagrin Falls, and I've only been here a short time, and one of the greatest things about it is the community aspect, and knowing that we have alumni, we have associations, we have groups and people from the outsider that are willing to continue to reinvest in our seniors, and then our seniors coming through and doing tremendous things and volunteering and helping out and just seeing the connection. And sometimes as a principal, I don't see all these things, but then when you hear them sharing like this student did this and this and this, it really, really makes you proud, and it really makes this a truly special place. Senior project internship. This has been amazing, just seeing some of the things, and I can't wait. I know we're talking, and Alex, actually, you can see on the bottom bullet point, it says Broadway. We had a student go to New York City to be able to shadow somebody on Broadway for their senior internship. We had students in the Cleveland Clinic. We had students in UH hospitals, elected officials, government employees, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you can read the list up there. But really what it truly does is, I also thought was impressive that I didn't put up here, was they connected with community members. The amount of people within our community that wanted our students to see what is they're doing and how they connect to them and build those connections. It's lasting. And hearing the responses, hearing from the senior project advisors, hearing from Ms. Rossi, is saying how proud the community and the people in these places of our seniors is representative of who this class is. You know, when I go to the CDC league meeting with all the principals and athletic directors, and they always complain about other schools and their kids and their behaviors. Our zoo is wild. Our kids are very goofy and wild out there, but they're always respectful, and they always rein it back in, and they make sure that they're supporting our school. And that makes me proud, and that makes me happy. And it's, you know, it's just reflective of the community and the education that these students had throughout their time here. And then the last piece, like I said, the fun. Senior prank was awesome. You know, for those of you that maybe didn't know, it was, you know, they put some hay outside. They kind of did a hoe down there dancing. I got here super early. Kids just having fun. But what I was more impressed of with this class is that it was cleaned up like by like noon. You know, and it wasn't like they skipped classes. It was their study hall or this or that. So it just shows that a group of kids wanting to have fun, doing it in a way that was respectful, you know, and you know, there was one thing, you know, there's some kids with the motorbikes, they got a little anxious, and I was just sharing that it was because I had a student from my previous district pass away that Friday from an accident on a motor vehicle. So got a little worked up about that, but the kids were so respectful that I was proud of them. You know, prom, homecoming, winter formal, they dance, they don't leave. Our student section homecoming courts, you know, we did the Chagrin Classic. We provided all these opportunities. Senior symposium, where if you haven't been aware of this, it was an opportunity for kids to sign up for opportunities to learn about things that are later in life, things that might support them as they go to college. Philanthropy Day, kids went out into the community. I went to a horse stable and watched a bunch of kids cleaning out horse stables. A group of kids were at Holden Arboretum. They were all over the place. Our kids were immersed in our community, and they represented us well. So I know I've talked a lot, and I know I've shared a lot here, but it was really hard for me to boil down the senior class into one thing or one show or one presentation. I think it's really important that the senior class is a special class. They did amazing things. They represented Chagrin Falls well. It was due to the community. It was due to the staff, the teachers, you know, all of the administrators, everybody that connected with these students, gave them an opportunity, and they took advantage of it, and they truly made me proud, and they made my first year as principal of Chagrin Falls a very happy one, a great one, a fun one. It's fun's just starting now with graduation coming this weekend, and I'll try not to cry at the ceremony.
Me too.
But I just wanted to kind of share this with you because I think it's important for you to see collectively who they are, how special they are, and what legacy they're going to leave for Chagrin Falls.
Thank you. All right, moving on. I move to approve the minutes from the April 5th work session and the April 5th regular meeting. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Does anyone have any questions, comments, changes? Ashley, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yeah.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
We will now do district advisory reports. The district it's been 2 years now. 2 years ago, we implemented district advisory committees as a way to bring in experts in the community and have them participating in the work of the district alongside the board and the administration. And at our board meetings, we give regular updates on those committee meetings that have taken place so that everyone in the community and the rest of the board members can be aware of what work has been done. So we'll start with the technology committee, which is either Lauren or Catherine tonight. Catherine, okay.
So Lauren Miller and I are both on the committee with Mike Doherty and Jennifer Darcy. Mike did a review of things that will be changed going into next year. Some of these you all are probably already aware of. There's a new phone system. The copiers are being kind of updated the way that copying happens so that we can save some money and be more efficient, have less waste with copying. Very interesting to me was Rooms, which is a way to combine two apps, the Remind app and the Google Classroom, and give better consistency of communication regarding what's happening with students, and also giving parents some access to what's happening in Google Classroom, not all, but some, so that they can also stay informed with what their kids are doing, what the teachers want to communicate with them. And extracurriculars and athletics can also use this to communicate. So I think it's going to be a real improvement to streamline communications with families. And then Mike had reviewed artificial intelligence, and many of you went through professional development days recently talking about ChatGPT and interestingly, a focus on how to leverage this in a way to be more efficient and effective in our jobs. And I think also it's all on our radars that students might be using these things as well, and just being cognizant of ways to incorporate it thoughtfully and lawfully, and but also use it to make our lives a little bit easier. So I thought that was really interesting as well. Yeah, so I think that is it.
Thank you. Communications committee, Lauren.
Yeah, so the communications committee met earlier this week. As you guys know, that committee was just established this year, so we're still in sort of an establishment kind of phase, but we were very grateful to have a community member and parent join us for this past meeting. She has a background in a business and communication, so she was kind enough to share a lot of her thoughts with us. We reviewed the ways that we communicate now, and got just from her a lot of tips on best practices, ways to handle different kind of media. I know we get a lot of feedback on communication. Some of it is, we don't hear enough from you. Some of it is, would you please stop sending us so many emails? So we're trying to find the happy medium where we can sort of reach everyone where they are, since everyone consumes media in different ways and, gets it through different vehicles. So, and we decided even if we are repeating ourselves a little bit, it's worth reaching everybody with all the good information that we have. So we sort of reviewed our recent communication through the lens that she helped us establish, and then we kind of have some good things to consider going forward.
Thank you. Intercouncil met this morning. We received a presentation, interestingly enough, on Excel Tech and the Performing Arts Academy. Mr. Needham actually gave us a presentation on Excel Tech, the whole program, so that our support organization, it's the intercouncil meeting is representatives from each of our support organization, and it's opportunity to share information out and hear from them. So this was, they had expressed that they weren't as familiar. Some of them have younger students. They weren't as familiar with the Excel Tech program and what was available and how we participate in that consortium. So they were led through a presentation of that and what there are 10 school districts in that program, what the other school districts offer. Mr. Needham also walked us through a dozen or so alumni and where they've gone on to. That was very impressive. You can see that the Performing Arts Academy program is for the students that are taking advantage of it. It is the perfect complement for their junior and senior years and really has an impact in launching them for where they go after they graduate from high school. And then we had the opportunity to see two scenes from Spelling Bee in the black box, which again, a lot of our support organization parents didn't know the black box existed. And if you've ever been to a performance in there, it's very personal because it's small. So that was really cool. And then we had a tour of the Performing Arts Center. And almost forgot. And then they share out. And here's what's going on with our support organizations in the district. Tiger Prep is providing grants for teachers to attend autism training. They're also working on a program that will be preparation for parents, the day in the life of the student with dyslexia. As we know, our dyslexia laws have changed, and also our teachers have become more familiar with newer training that's come out with regards to how to address students with dyslexia. So the Tiger Prep is involved in supporting all that work. The PTO had Teacher Appreciation Week last week. They provided lunch for all the staff in all the buildings. They also did cards at Gurney and little extras at Gurney. They will be hosting a lot of end of year events, pizza at Gurney, Tiger Day, picnic at CFIS, Field Day. And their new VP was in attendance, Michaela Henry. Their new president for next year is Shannon Hoke. Safe Routes is participating in a strategic planning survey process. They sent out a survey. They've already had 200 respondents, which is fantastic response rate. It will be out until Memorial Day. They're looking for ways to support the schools, focusing on safe, convenience, and accessible. The Bike to School event was in partnership with Dad's Club. They had 145 participants and great weather, which they were excited about. We've had a couple of those events lately that have been a little more sketchy with the weather. I would like to thank Bike Ohio, Einstein's, and the Cleveland Clinic for their roles in supporting that event. Bike Ohio donated a lot of accessories that were used to raffle off. Einstein is always generous with their bagels and coffee for our school events, and Cleveland Clinic let us gather in their parking lot prior to biking to the intermediate school. The Dad's Club, if you haven't been by Gurney, I think it's still up. You should go see. They, in one day, put up I don't even know what you call it, but it's a scene from the movie, from the One School, One Book, the One and Only Ivan. Dad's Club is always impressive with how they can pull that up overnight and surprise our students. Ed Foundation is working on some fundraising, trying to get some things finalized because they might make some purchases that would be built into the curriculum for next year or at the high school level. Community education, we have a new person who will be the student enrichment coordinator. Deb Wilkinson was there. Jared Molman introduced her and spoke a little bit about her. And Jessica Kiffner is moving on to her new role. She's apparently made changes, although I haven't had a chance to check, to the website that is enabling people to, when they request a tour of the district, tailor it to what their specific interests are. And she's working on the registration process and understanding why our students are interested in coming to Chagrin, where they go if they leave us. And then we shared out that we have a safety forum on Monday at 5:30 in the high school commons. There was an email that went out to everyone in the community, and it's being pushed out on social media right now as well. The survey will remain open because we will continue to receive feedback from it of what's on people's minds and what we're always interested in knowing more about how we can communicate more about what we do. And that will inform the agenda for the forum, which will at this point have several experts here to speak to all of the safety work that this district does, including two of our chiefs of police, Chief Rizzo and Chief Dasick, as well as the consultant, Tim Delvecchio, who does our audits and shares with us the innovations that we adopt regularly. And that was it for inner council. The strategic coordination team met last week and we reviewed the briefing papers from each of the 3 inquiry teams. We spent time trying to synthesize where there were areas of commonality and overlap, and basically walked away feeling like the work that's in the briefing papers is dissertation level with quality data and research and comprehensive interviews and focus groups. And we don't want any of that to get lost in translation. So we're asking that the presentation that is brought to the board be all the depth and breadth of that information. So it might be a little bit longer. But I think it's worthwhile for us to hear very specifically what they've done and what they recommend. The current plan would be then we would hand that over to the administration. They would work over the summer to determine action steps and district goals, and then bringing that back to the board in the fall. That meeting, for anyone interested, is May 31st at 5:30. It's very exciting. I've seen the work, and there's a lot of exciting opportunity to elevate what the school district is already doing. And that concludes our district advisory reports. At this point, I will turn the meeting over to Ashley for the treasurer's report. Can I have a motion for the 5-year?
Yeah.
You don't,
This
I
is
don't
just
need
the
a motion.
report.
All right,
Yeah,
good.
you'll act on it
Okay.
later. I would like the record to reflect that on my screen that is orange, not yellow. So.
Since you're the one that keeps the record, go ahead.
Just want everybody to know I did not intentionally use yellow. Okay, so we are going to talk tonight about the 5-year forecast. This is something that we do in November and May of every year. And that's required by law. This is just an update. So in November is where we do the full presentation, discuss what is in each line, what they mean, do a full analysis of trends and that type of thing. So tonight I'm really just going to talk about the update. So what has changed from November to now. If anybody wants all of that analysis, it is in the report that will get submitted to the state. It's attached to the agenda on the action item. So further down, which I believe is section 7, maybe. So all that information is there. I'm not going to go through it tonight. Just going to talk about what has changed. I always like to remind you every time we talk about this, that the 5-year forecast is an estimate. It represents what we know today. So things in school finance are changing constantly, as you know, by all of the emails that we get from all of the state level organizations all the time. But this represents what we know now. It makes a lot of assumptions about numerous variables that go into these numbers. So you really need to take into consideration what we're assuming when we come up with these calculations, and all of that is in that extended report attached to the agenda as well. If something changes at the state level with the budget right now, what I have assumed is in here is what we think is going to happen, or our best estimate based on where the budget is at right now at the state level. That could drastically change by the end of June. Who knows? If it does, and it drastically changes our forecast, we can approve a new one and resubmit it at any time. We can always do that. We're just required in November and May. So if something changes drastically, expect me to bring this to you again.
What are you hearing?
You know, I don't think there's anything that's going to drastically change our financial situation. I don't anticipate that happening, but I do like to just throw it out there in case, just in case, you know, I had to bring this back in June. I wouldn't want everybody to, you know, wonder why or make it seem as if we, you know, made some sort of mistake. And also keep in mind that this represents only the general fund. So it doesn't represent all of the grant funds, capital projects, special revenue, all those types of things. So this is the same table I present every time we do this. I like to try to be consistent so you can go back and look at things if you choose. Most important on this is this line right here. This is our annual surplus or deficit. So you see, we do start deficit spending in 2025. If you're comparing this to November, it looked like we were going to start deficit spending in 24. So we've pushed that out a little bit. And then our cash balance, though, here at the end of the life of the forecast, which is 2027, is very close to what we had estimated in November. So everybody who wants to tune out now, go ahead. Our finances right now are very similar to what we reported in November, but I'm going to talk about where they differ. So this is just a general picture of our finances. The blue is revenue, orange is expenditures. The dotted line is what was presented in November. That's from the November forecast. And then the solid line is what we're looking at right now. So very similar. There are some differences though. And I am going to break these out a little bit and talk about revenue first. So our revenues are up right now. And we do expect that to continue through the life of the forecast from what we estimated back in November. The variance between the May and the November estimate is pretty similar throughout the life of the forecast here. That difference between the dotted line and the solid line, there's a little blip here in 24. Can't really see it on here. This looks pretty flat, but there is a little blip there that I'll discuss in a minute. So I'm going to talk about a couple individual lines where there were significant variances. So like I said, I'm not going to go through every single line of the forecast like I do in November, but I want to talk about where there were big variances. So the first one is the real estate. We collected more than what we had estimated in November. There are a multitude of reasons, that go into this calculation in our estimate. Collection rate was up a lot. And we collected a lot more delinquencies than what I had anticipated. So what happens then is, because we collected more delinquencies this year, our delinquencies outstanding for next year are going to be down. They're not what I had anticipated they would be back in November. So our collection next year, we expect to be lower than what we had expected it would be back in November. That makes sense. That was a mouthful. Let's see if there's anything else I noted that I wanted to say. Nope, I think that's
Is
it.
that indicative of anything in particular, or is that just kind of a typical?
I don't know. Ours doesn't tend to vary too much. Our collection rate is very high. Our delinquencies are low, but they do go up and down. I mean, a lot of times you will see delinquencies build on a property year after year after year after year, and then the property is sold, and then that all gets caught up at the same time. So, and those can be significant dollars when it does catch up. So, we had quite a bit back when COVID happened. Collections were not what we had anticipated. We're, I think, still maybe catching up from some of that potentially. And I don't have any proof of that. That's just, what I think. But yeah, I mean, it's not significant. The fluctuation isn't usually. So, it's really just kind of, this was one that's very hard to anticipate. It's just kind of me guessing. Next line where we had significant difference was the public utility personal property. This is one where we collect 100% of our public utility personal property taxes. Almost every single year, it's to the dollar exactly what we expect. I forecast 99.999% out that we will collect it. This year, the spring settlement from Geauga County was down $400,000. We subsequently got a letter from Chuck Walder, who is the Geauga County auditor, informing us that several of the public utility personal property payments were not made timely, and that affected all of the schools in Geauga County. I realize we're not in Geauga, but we do get Geauga taxes, so we were included in that, and it was a significant difference for us. There was some talk and there were a few requests from the schools to open up another settlement so that we could get that money now. And it was decided that, no, we're just gonna handle it like any other delinquency and it'll be received next year. So that difference there is just timing. We didn't get it in 23, we will get it in 24. So that's what's responsible for that blip there. The other line where there's a significant difference is just other revenue. So this is kind of the line where things that are not taxes or state money kind of all gets lumped into this just based on the prescribed format of our financial statements. So it all kind of gets lumped into there. The big difference here is interest income, so our investments. Everybody knows that interest rates are up, and we didn't know that back in November. We knew that things were picking up and interest rates were up. I was a little pessimistic, didn't think that they were going to continue to increase the way that they did. So we received a lot more interest revenue than I had anticipated. So that is that difference. And then going forward, that gap closes a little bit just because I am not comfortable saying that 5 years from now, interest rates are going to be what they are now, because who knows? So I assume that those are going to decrease over time a little bit. So moving on to expenditures, I'm only going to talk about the total expenditures because there was really no individual line where there was a big difference from November to now. Our expenditures are up. I think anybody who has been to the grocery store or been shopping anywhere would understand that prices are up. Things just cost more right now. In addition to that, we settled a successful contract negotiation with our certified union in the spring. So I incorporated those salary increases into this forecast. So just expenditures in general are up. There's no one thing that really explains it. Okay, so this is the same graph that I started with. I'd just like to come back to that now that we have talked a little bit about what has happened. Both revenues and expenditures have gone up. What I like to point out on this graph is this intersection here between where our expenditures start to exceed our revenue. And that's where we start deficit spending. So this year in 23 here, you can see, yes, expenditures are up, but revenues were up more. So what that does is that pushes this intersection here out a little bit. So we've gone a little bit further down the line to where we start to deficit spend. This difference here between these two solid lines is where we're deficit spending. So our revenue, and I know I say this every time we talk about our finances, revenue in schools stays pretty flat. It just does. House Bill 920 makes it so that increases in valuations do not give us increases in revenue. So the only way we can really increase our revenue is to pass a levy. And that's why you'll see that stair step effect on schools' finances. The revenue will be flat for a long time. They pass a levy, it'll go up, stays flat again for a long time until they pass another levy. So we have that stair step on our revenue, and expenditures just increase over time. That's just the nature of our economy. So what happens then when those expenditures exceed your revenue? Clearly your cash balance starts to decline. So what does that look like for us? This is our cash balance. Pay attention to the scale here. This does not go all the way down to zero. I know that looks like a pretty scary drop there. But it's not significantly different from what we knew in November. And what we knew, or what we always know, this is just how school finances work. Cash balance declines, and then we come back for additional revenue, and then it goes back up and levels off again. So the difference, though, from what we expected back in November to now is a very, very small difference. So we're in essentially the same financial position that we were. So what does this mean for us as far as a levy cycle? Because I know that's as soon as people see the cash balance, that's kind of where heads go. I had a lot of notes here that I just completely skipped over. Make sure I said everything I wanted to. Okay, I think I got it all. So what this means is we don't need right now at this point, and we're not in any different position essentially than we were in November. So I'm not going to come to you in the next work session and say we need to start planning for a levy. The finance committee is not there. We've pushed it out. This is where you know, in 2020, in the fall of 2020, when we passed that last levy, we said we made a promise to our community that we would make it stretch 3 years, and this is 3 years. We're definitely past that, and you know, I think we're probably going to be somewhere right around this area as long as nothing changes. Again, this is an estimate. I don't have a crystal ball. Really wish I did. It'd make my job a lot easier. But right now we're estimating to get another year or two out of this. So we've definitely stretched it. And that is due to the smart decisions that our board has made, administration, and all of our staff. The entire staff is really committed to doing the best that they can for our students in the most fiscally responsible manner at every single level of our organization. And that, you know, makes my job a lot easier. So I'm not up here patting myself on the back for strong financial management. It is the entire district. When people are managing their budgets, when they're making purchases, you know, people are really looking for how to stretch their budgets and how to stretch our dollar and be really good stewards of the taxpayer money. So thank you to every single person who works for our district, because it really is a team effort. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
No,
You've had a few days to look at it as well.
I guess one of the questions I have is with regards to the slope of the line of expenses, and when are we planning on having a more holistic conversation?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking at that line. You know, every single decision that's made by the administration, I know certainly, from the board level, we're making decisions with an eye on where that line is going, and how we can best manage things so that, you know, we don't wait until it gets too far down the road and then we have to make giant, you know, big decisions and big cuts. Now, not to say we don't, because I know in 2020 we made $1.2 million in cuts out of our budget. I don't think we're there. I think you know, we're constantly keeping an eye on it. And
No, I understand. And it's very well managed. But that conversation we had where we did find that $1.2 million really dramatically changed, you know, the entire curve. And so I think it's good to periodically still continue to have those conversations of, you know, if we had to look for savings, where would it be?
Yeah. At that point in time, that was when the finance committee had recommended a 7.9 mil levy. That was in the spring. That was like February of 20, and then COVID happened, and we just realized that was not something we could do. So in order to balance that, we had to do that. And yeah, we would, you know, make lists and things. And when we did that, we prioritized so that we affected the classroom as little as possible.
Yes.
And I think we did a really great job of that. And
No, I mean, we prioritized that we didn't want to impact the student experience and we didn't want to cut staff.
Right.
And we were still able to do that. So, you know,
Yeah.
continuing to, I just think that there's an opportunity to putting it on the calendar and having a conversation, and maybe we won't yield that productive of a result this time
Mhm.
around, because I know that you've put things in place to be more prudent day in and day out as well, but I think it's worth having a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else? Okay. All right, moving along to public participation. This is the point in the meeting where we invite community members to come and speak to the board. And I get to read this lovely little statement. So I will read it. The purpose of the Board of Education meetings is for the board to conduct its business. Board meetings are held in public, but are not public forums. The discussion of agenda items is intended to be among board members and not a discussion with the public. The public participation section of the agenda is an opportunity for citizens to address the board. Community members who contacted the superintendent in advance of the meeting may be provided an opportunity to speak first. Public comment is limited to 30 minutes. Each participant will have 3 minutes to speak. No person may speak twice until all who desire to speak have had the opportunity to do so. Remember, this is a formal and official meeting of the board, and what you say becomes part of the official meeting report. If your comment involves a problem with a student, employee, or board member, please do not address them by name. Keep in mind, we are meeting in a schoolhouse and possibly in the presence of students. Following your comment, if you have specific questions, please email the superintendent at jennifer.penzarski@chagrinschools.org. You have anyone signed up?
I do. First is Chris Ryan.
I apologize for that. You have kids. I want to start by saying thank you for the opportunity to speak and hopefully for the opportunity to be heard. My name is Chris Ryan. I'm a proud resident of Chagrin Falls School District for the past 14 years. Chagrin Falls is a very special place to me, where my family and I have developed incredible relationships and friendships. These friendships have grown over the years and really galvanized us all into a strong community. These relationships, friendships, this community, if you think about it, it's all been driven by the school system. The teachers, like the ones sitting behind me. It starts at Gurney, the Halloween parade, the Christmas show, and the eternal tearjerker, the clap out. It continues to grow through the intermediate school, the middle school, and then the high school with athletics, dances, clubs, and hundreds of other activities. These teachers are truly the genesis of our community because they act as an extension of the family unit. When our kids are away from home, these teachers are truly exceptional. But occasionally, if we are very lucky, we get a teacher that goes so far above and beyond that they become something different. They become a role model. We are lucky enough to have had such a role model for the past 30 years with an impeccable track record. His name is Paul Perrine. He's sitting at home right now, and we would like to know why. In an event that occurred the week before spring break, where a member of the administration overheard a couple of young 13-year-old students discussing a class Mr. Perrine was teaching, felt concern about the tone of the chat, and reported it to the superintendent. Without hesitation, the police were involved, and Mr. Perrine was escorted from the building. After a very thorough but very quick investigation, the parents involved and the police department found absolutely zero evidence or reason to pursue the matter further. Here we are 2 months later, and Mr. Perrine is still at home and sure to be completely devastated by this character assassination. 2 months later, for an investigation that could have lasted a week, we have video cameras that are placed all over the school and certainly when Mr. Perrine was teaching. I've come to find out these cameras were not working that day. These cameras that protect our students, our teachers, and frankly, you, the board, from any litigation from situations come up like these. So again, we're here 2 months later, and there is no concern for the parents of the children involved. No concern or cause from the police to further investigate. I'd like to know why the school still investigating. In closing, I want to thank you for your time and effort and all that you do. I will leave you with 2 questions. When is Mr. Perrine coming back, and why isn't he already? Thank you.
So, before we go on, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight, and expressing your support for the staff of Chagrin Falls. We agree with you 100% that the heart of a Chagrin Falls education are the staff, the teachers, the administration that support our students day in and day out. It is an education like no other. There are laws in place, as Mr. Ryan referenced, to protect our students and to protect our staff. They dictate the practices we follow. That is what is happening in this situation, pure and simple. And I wish that we could share more information with you, but we cannot at this time. We have someone else that would like to speak?
Sam Nichols.
No applause? Okay. I appreciate your time and, I appreciate the work that you guys do in the community. I'm up here to talk about, security and make a recommendation from the community that, we maintain the police presence on each campus next year and, for the foreseeable future, and also make a recommendation that we add a, student resource officer to not only the intermediate school campus, but also the Gurney campus. I think that in light of things that have been happening, I'm sure that you guys have heard from the community. And I've heard from the community and spoken with police officers and other things that these actions will protect our students, protect our faculty, make faculty feel more comfortable, and all in maintain the high level academic excellence that comes from this school. And just as a final point, just appealing to the board here, when community members reach out to you, it means a lot when their elected officials respond to them the first time, especially when there's some things so close to home as what was happening at West G and Orange with the firearms. It means a lot. Just a brief anecdote to this is, and it's not by any means the importance of this, but when I'm working construction and working in Ohio City, I had 3 projects that each had permitting issues where the permits were coming through slow. And Carrie McCormick, and I emailed the council person, Carrie McCormick. I don't know what ward he is. I don't know what his politics are or anything, but he responded immediately and helped put me in the right direction to find a solution. And not only did we find a solution, but it made me remember his name. I had the same issues in Cleveland Heights. I don't know what that council person's name is because they didn't respond. And so we appreciate what you guys do, and you guys are here to represent us. So if as a consideration, please respond. And thank you very much.
Thank you. So we do respond. The board president always responds, but a lot of times there are questions that are directed at the board that should be answered by our superintendent or treasurer, because they are the 2 people that the board hires to run the school district. So generally speaking, if a question has that type of direction, I will respond to the person and copy and invite the superintendent and treasurer or whoever is relevant into the conversation. The superintendent then usually directs it to the person on her team that is the expert that can provide additional information. So I understand it feels like you're getting passed along, but that is because the board does not manage the day-to-day operations of the district. The superintendent and treasurer do. And with regards to safety, we are very excited for the safety forum that is coming up on Monday. I think that there will be a lot of information that will be provided that people are not aware of currently. It's been interesting watching some of the forms, some of the survey information come back, because a lot of the concerns, not surprisingly, are coming from Gurney parents. There's been some things happening there and some misunderstandings about what's been happening there. But I think more generally, those parents tend to be newer to the school district. And so it may be that there's a misperception that all we do is have an SRO and all we do are training events, when actually we have a very robust process. We leverage multiple experts, and it's something that we've continued to elevate our practices, especially in the last 10 years, spending additional money to change the buildings, the facilities physically, and also how we operate. And at some level, there is only so much that we can share because it actually doesn't serve our students or our staff to share beyond that. But I think that the meeting Monday will be very informative for people that want to understand our safety and security protocols better.
And even though I can't see Mr. Nichols, I just want to say thank you, because you know that it was your outreach and the work that you and some of the committee did to help bring about Monday's meeting and to help with the agenda. And so we're thankful for that.
All right, anyone else, Ashley? Okay, that concludes the public participation portion of our meeting. Now, my guess is you all think that what we are about to continue to do with the consent agenda items and the superintendent's recommendations and the treasurer recommendations and other business that we will continue to do in this meeting is scintillating. But for those of you that came just for that portion of the meeting, I would be happy to take a 1 or 2 minute break if you want to go out and have dinner. If no one's leaving, then we'll just continue on.
There you go.
All right, moving along, I move to approve consent agenda items 5.02 through 5.13. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Ashley, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
Superintendent's recommendations, in addition to celebrating our seniors in May.
This is brief.
We sometimes have the opportunity to welcome new people to our school community, which is equally exciting for us. So I'm going to move to approve superintendent's recommendation 6.02 through 6.28. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Jennifer, would you like to walk us through these?
I'm gonna try to. There's quite a few tonight. But a lot of good things as well. So we'll just start at the beginning and the first one. I think Mr. Janitovich did best. It's just our list of graduates. Remember, our commencement is on Sunday, and that's just it's a very inspiring event, and we're so proud of our seniors, and it's a very special day. So that's item 6.02. 6.03 are student course fees, and I'm sorry, Larry, I'll scoot down. I'm sorry. I was trying not to cough in your mic. So there shouldn't be any changes to that from last year. So just know that's about the same. 604 is just student teacher stipend. 605 is just a waiver that we're required to have on file. 606 is an unpaid leave request. 607 would be your power for schools. That's electric services. And just so that you know, we did change the section up a little bit. Christy's trying to put a little more detail in for you, because I know when the agenda actually got posted, sometimes it just posted resolution and didn't state what it was. So even what's on the website should have a little more detail so that you can see without actually having to go inside the attachments. So hopefully this will work better. 6.08, we were just required to change our current resolution that we had with Ohio School Council. Open enrollment would be the next one, and there was just no change. That's just something that we have to adopt. 610 would be our certified staff contracts. 611 would be classified staff contracts. 612 is the fun part. So we're going to just pause here and invite Mr. Woofter because he has written some bios so that we can introduce you to some of these wonderful people in the room who will be new Chagrin Falls employees.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarski, board. Appreciate all of the new teachers that are here tonight, our new certified staff. We're very happy to have them. They represent, we have eight tonight, so I'll try and be brief and abbreviated, but I definitely want to make sure we speak to each of them for sure. I was going to thank, I will even publicly, the principals and the teacher teams that did the interviews for these staff. As these staff will tell you, they've gone through a rigorous process. Multiple rounds of interviews. They've also done teaching demonstrations as well too. They have represented teachers that we really look for that represent our staff, which are coachable, collaborative, committed, and caring. And so those are some key areas we look for, as well as the ability to teach and teach well. So all of these staff members that we're introducing to you tonight demonstrate those qualities, and we're very excited to bring them on board and welcome them. Some of them, you'll notice, are not new, but we're bringing them back as introduction for some new positions that we had as well too. So I'll introduce those teachers first and give a little bio about them. Kathleen Serace. Katie Serace has been serving the district since 2017, and she was a tutor with us, an RTI tutor since 2017, but now she's going to be hired as an RTI teacher. So she earned her bachelor's degree in early childhood ed and her K3 reading endorsement from the University of Akron in 2004. Katie worked at Sylvan Learning Center as a tutor and assistant director prior to coming to Chagrin Falls. She also worked at Streetsboro, where she was a third grade teacher and long-term sub position there. As well as inclusion teacher in 2016 and 17, Title I reading tutor at Streetsboro Elementary. He's done an excellent job serving the district. She did a fantastic job in the interview, and we're very excited to bring her back in this new position. And I would thank her for being here tonight.
Can we have them stand just so
Yeah,
the
so we
board
can
can
see.
put a face with the name?
Welcome, almost welcome.
Almost welcome.
In a few minutes, we'll welcome you officially.
We'll welcome you officially, and then I think. So thank you. And I'm trying to keep these in order for Gurney first. So the next person on our list is Courtney Mooney. Courtney served also as an RTI tutor with the district since 2021. Prior to that, she actually was serving as an educational aide with the district that supported a small group of children in second grade. Courtney holds a bachelor's degree in education from Bowling Green State University, has over 10 years teaching experience prior to Chagrin Falls schools. She served at St. Anselm in Chesterland and also served at Valley Christian Preschool in Chagrin Falls. She's done a fantastic job in this position as RTI tutor, and we're very, very excited to have her as coming on this new position for RTI teacher. So thank you.
I met her husband at Miami, just for the record, just so. You know, that's an important story.
She's not new to this room.
No,
Courtney.
definitely not.
We also have Noelle Stroyer. Is that right? Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Noelle is going to be our Gurney Preschool Intervention Specialist, and she graduated from James Madison University with a bachelor's degree in psychology. So she kind of tricked me in the interview. She also had a minor in elementary education, and she holds a master's degree from Hofstra University in early childhood special education. She's dual certified in early childhood and special education for pre-K 3. She originally hails from New York, where she previously worked for Easter Seals, teaching preschoolers with varying special needs in small classroom settings. Most recently, Noelle worked in Parma schools as an intervention specialist in a career-based preschool program. When she wasn't working, or when she's not working, Noelle enjoys attending sporting events. She enjoys cooking and camping with her family. She's a mom of 3. Her goals for this summer include exploring things to do in the Cleveland area and teaching her oldest son to drive. She's looking forward to joining the preschool as intervention specialist, and we're really excited to have her on board.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, number 4, Noelle Kennedy from Gurney Elementary School, also intervention specialist. Welcome. Noelle graduated from Otterbein University with a bachelor's degree in early childhood education, and she holds a pre-K 5 teaching license. She got her master's in special education from University of Cincinnati. She's been teaching for 8 years. Previously, she taught 4th grade in Pickerington. It was an intervention specialist in Hudson. In 2021-22, Nicole was a special education aide at Gurney, and she coached cheerleading at the high school when she finished her master's degree. She's really excited to come back to Chagrin Falls, and she's really excited to be here to continue her career in the community. And I will say, when we did do her reference checks at Hudson, I called the HR director, and she knew why I was calling and said, oh no, we want to keep her. And we said, we'll let her decide. So she's here. So thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and I'm going to try and get this right as well too. Luz Delgado is our new Spanish teacher at the intermediate school. Luz coming back. Hola. Thank you. Luz was born and raised in León, Guanajuato. Okay, let's see. She moved to Ohio at the age of 16, and she has lived here since. She began her journey in education as a bilingual teacher, as an assistant at the Head Start program in 2009. She fell in love with teaching there and pursued her degree in education. She holds a bachelor's degree in early childhood ed and a master's in TESOL from Lake Erie College. Both of her degrees are from Lake Erie College. She currently resides in Paynesville Township with her husband Fidel, who is here as well too. Thank you. Got to meet Fidel. And their 2 kids, Vanessa and Damien. Luz is very excited to join Chagrin Falls. It was really wonderful to have an interview with her. She did a fantastic job and comes highly recommended. So we're glad to have her teaching Spanish at the intermediate school. Welcome. All right, Elizabeth Wolfgang will be teaching at the intermediate school as well too. She's going to be our RTI teacher. Ms. Wolfgang graduated from Mount Union College, go Raiders, with a Bachelor of Arts degree in middle childhood education. And she has a 4.9 teaching license. She holds a Master's of Science in education for school counseling. She also has grade, which is a grade 12 K-12 license. And she also did work at Youngstown State University. Elizabeth worked in West Branch local schools in 4th grade, also as a 5th grade teacher and as a school counselor for 5 years. So she's got a lot of different background that she brings to us. Elizabeth has most recently been employed in Westerville schools for the last 9 years as a school counselor. She serves in a number of roles as a student council advisor, an educational equity facilitator, a mentor to new school district employees, and a STAR Commonwealth certified trauma and resiliency practitioner and coach.
Wow.
Was able to get that out. Her hobbies include running, yoga, travel, reading, spending time with her family, her husband, and her sons, who are Liam and Evan. Her 2 sons. Elizabeth is thrilled to return to Northeast Ohio and join us here at Chagrin Falls, and I'm really glad to have her on board. Thank you. Okay, and got 2 more. Molly May, also at the intermediate school, was the RTI teacher there. Molly May is happy to join Chagrin Falls Schools, and she's going to be an RTI teacher, and she started her teaching career in 2010 at the Cuyahoga Falls City Schools. Her roles there included reading specialist, intervention specialist, kindergarten teacher. She taught for Hudson Schools and their ESY program for 4 summers, in addition to her time at Cuyahoga Falls. And in addition, Molly coached middle school lacrosse for 2 years and served on her building leadership team, or BLT, for 7 years. Molly received her master's degree in instructional technology from University of Akron. She also has a bachelor's degree in education and special education with a minor in reading from St. Mary's College. In her free time, she enjoys hiking, traveling, and spending time with her husband and her 3 kids. I'd like to really welcome Molly, and we're glad to have her on board. There you go. And we'd like to welcome back Kristen Boca, who has actually served here at the high school since 2015. Kristen, there you are. Thank you, right behind me. Wonderful. Again, Kristen is going to join us as a high school intervention specialist. She's previously served as a contract under the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio. Interviewed for the position that we opened it up. We're grateful to welcome aboard. Prior to her time at Chagrin Falls High School, she substituted at Munson Elementary. You might have thought we forgot that, but we did a long term at the intermediate school as a substitute there as well too, and a student teaching at the intermediate school as well. And she also holds a master's degree from Ursuline College in special education and a bachelor's degree from the University of Ohio, Miami in speech and communication. She's done an excellent job serving our students. Did a great job in the interview part as well, and we're really excited to hire her on as a Chagrin employee. And we're grateful for her to be at the high school. So thank you and welcome. I think you saw a lot of credentials today behind our teachers. Some fantastic experience and a lot of really good licensure as well too. I will echo what Dr. Pensarski said, and the fact that our principals have done a really fantastic job with interviews. The teaching staff that was included did a great job as well too. So we're very proud of the people that we're able to bring on board and welcoming them at the teacher orientation in August. So I think with that, maybe we should give a round of applause and
We still have to vote yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just kidding.
We're encouraging. So I'll try to get through we're halfway through the sixes. 613 would be change in assignment. That's just to make Terry Lardell long-term building sub. 614 would be change in assignments. This would just be a reassignment of duties for educational aides. Remember, there's 3 classifications now, and so sometimes your duties shift and we have to make sure that they're in the right classification. 615 would be continuing contracts. 616 are just your classified personnel contracts. 617 would be increase in hours. This was specifically for transportation administrative assistant. Mike Morgan did a complete analysis, identified need, and then Chris and I worked with him to figure out what that would actually mean. So that's what that 617 is. 618 would be exempt personnel contracts. You heard that Debs was at the meeting today for intercouncil. And if you look at the next one, which is 619, Lauren Jones is helping with that community ed transition because Jessica is also in a full-time position in central office. So, and Lauren did hold that position before. So that's what you're seeing in 619. 620 goes on for pages. So just say, yes, it's all good. 621 would be classified personnel, additional hours. 622 is where some resignations would begin, and you'll see those. Looks like it goes through to 625, which are your summer laborers. Then you have staff and volunteers for band camp. I can't believe band camp already, but 627 would be then community ed approval. 628 is FMLA. So any questions? I kind of blitzed through the end. We spent the time with the most important piece.
Questions or comments? Ashley, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros.
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel.
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey.
Yeah.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
So do we do another?
Now we can.
Congratulations.
Do you want, Chris, do you want to get a picture of everyone? I just want to shake their hands. It's up to you. I don't know what you want to do. Right here.
One, two, three. Okay, thank you very much.
stay for the last like 3 items.
All right. Okay. Moving along to treasurer's recommendations. I move to approve set treasurer's recommendation 7.02 through 7.04. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley, would you like to walk us through these?
Sure. 7.02 is the approval of the 5-year forecast, which I presented all the variances earlier. The actual forecast that is attached there with all of the analysis and assumptions is what actually gets submitted to the state. So that's attached there. Item 7.03 is monthly financial reports. I'm not going to go through those just because you should have a pretty clear picture of what our financial position is right now. And the forecast is more updated than these. So I'm going to go ahead and skip presenting those, but they are attached. And then item 7.04 is equipment disposal, and I don't remember what that is.
It's a 4 pedal
set?
desks
Yeah,
and
what-
7 AC units.
Okay, thank you. 'Cause it's been a while since that got attached, so I am recommending your approval of these items.
Any questions? Ashley, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
Our next meeting, should you choose to return, is our regular meeting work session on Wednesday, May 31st at 5:30. That will actually be one of the best meetings of the year. We're going to hear all about the strategic planning findings and celebrate with the people that did that work. And there's going to be, Jen Banco has promised cake, not cupcakes, cake. So hopefully others will join us as well.
I
And-
do have one just request, if you could check your schedules real quick. I do have more hiring I need to do. And I also have now an MOU that will need to be approved for building subs for next year. I'd like to get approved sooner than later. Could we, on the 7th of June, after our work session, just have a special meeting to approve hiring and maybe a few other items? Because our next meeting, official meeting, isn't until the end of June. That would allow us to get a few more people hired and this MOU approved. So we are already scheduled for a meeting that night at 5:30. I'm just suggesting at 7:30, we would just call, or 7, just call a special meeting and have a limited agenda and just do it all on the same night, just so I can get some more people positions
And we
filled.
can't add it because it's a work.
I want to add
session.
it as a special because our work sessions are pretty
We've done
standard.
a
and-
great job keeping that.
Is that okay with everyone? If-
Lori will be out of town, so we just need to make sure that everyone else.
There are 4 of you here because I'm not here. on the
Yeah.
7th.
Okay,
Yep.
You guys are-
good. All right, great. We can do
Would
that.
that be all right? Okay.
All right, with that, I move to adjourn our meeting. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel,
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yeah.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
Thank you.